Welcome to STL City Showdown. I'm AJ, and this is Steve. How's your life, Steve?
Oh, man, it's just so perfect. I love having Saturdays where I can just take a break from reality and enjoy high-quality soccer in other cities than St. Louis.
There's got to be something about St. Louisans because it doesn't matter how bad the team is. We're still here doing podcasts. There's other people doing podcasts. There's people showing up to these games, people buying jerseys. Are we just like lunatics or something?
Well, we're Saint lunatics, but no, it's the weather sucks. We can't just go out on a March day and go to a nice beach. The weather hates us here. So yeah, we have to stay inside and watch soccer and do fun stuff.
It's literally kind of crazy because we're recording on Sunday and there's forecast for severe weather, so potential tornadoes. And then later this evening, literally snow. We could get up to an inch of snow. What the heck?
The weather forecast yesterday was the forecast for Sunday is 64 for a high with a chance of rain and snow. It's like, how do you get there?
So, guys, for you guys listening, our team is so bad, unfortunately, that we're literally talking about weather at the start of our podcast.
Yeah. The start of a soccer-themed podcast talking about weather. Anything other than the team.
Well, Steve, I guess we're supposed to start with our first game. Okay, so let's do it. So, our first game for today is going to be Would You Rather. And if you guys haven't played this before, haven't listened to a couple of our other episodes, Would You Rather is we basically give you two choices. Usually they're tough choices where you're kind of cringing, like, which do I pick? So here's our first Would You Rather. They kind of set the stage. Matt Baker posted on Blue Sky or something like that before the game, but after the lineup was released. And one of the things that everybody was complaining about is literally this lineup looked the same as pretty much every other game. And his point is that, okay, this is the fourth game. DeMay was saying that we should keep the roster the same because we have a new system and we wanted to give the players a chance to actually play in the system and kind of grow into it. In other words, he was saying, is it really fair for a player to try to commit to a system and then get penalized if, they were not quite understanding the system yet, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. So the first Would You Rather is prior to the game, okay, would you rather have kept the same roster as it was, or would you rather have seen some radical changes?
Before the game, I think I would agree with DeMay that we got to just run with it. We have to see what these guys can do. 4 games in, no point in making radical changes against the number 1 power ranked team in the MLS. We might as well be able to say, this is the best team that we have. This is the roster that we have. We're going to go and present our best foot forward. So to me, before the match, there's no point in shaking things up. I think we have a little bit of a different perspective now, but that's what I would think. So I would rather just stick with the team we had. Better the devil you know kind of nonsense. What about you?
So I would actually almost, I understand that logic, right? So this is where I think business and soccer tactics and everything kind of start colliding, right? They're sitting in this boardroom. They're probably discussing in preseason, hey, what are we going to do with the season? And they probably came up with the idea that they were going to stick with the roster no matter what. And I like that they were thinking that, but at the same time, you also have to be flexible, right? Like you can't just decide something and just keep sticking with it. Because here's the thing. I understand what they were saying is you don't want to penalize the players for the system. But the fact is that we also can see individual performances. So I'm going to use the one that everybody likes to talk about is Betcher, right? Okay, he seems like he's doing, like he understands the system. It seems like I don't want to say he's playing well in the system, but like he's doing what the system requires. But the individual performance hasn't been there, right? It made sense, like when you saw somebody like Cordova, Joyner, McSorley, these guys who came in, they don't have as much experience, and yet they seem like they were providing a boost. And then here's my other argument, Steve, is I understand what they were saying about the system, but every single player on the bench or the field needs to understand the system, right? Because throughout the season, 34 games, you're not going to have the exact same roster every single time. There's going to be people coming in or out. You have to be flexible. If you depend on just 11 players and that's it, then what's the point?
right? The only thing I would say to that is I wonder what they're seeing in practice. Like, are the rest of these guys not getting it? Is this literally like the best option that the coaching staff has, because the other players either aren't getting it, aren't hustling, or not really showing their skills during practice? And maybe that's why we waited until the 80th minute to send on anyone last night. And yeah, they made a quick impact, but like, was it long-term impactful? Like, I would personally like to see McSorley and Celio out there more. We need to see this Cordova cat actually play. Like, he's our quote-unquote striker now, so like we might as well see him out there more. But before this game, like, honestly, it was, what are you going to do against the number one team? Like, how are we going to hold them off? And are we going to hold them off with McSorley and Perez, or are we going to hold them off with all the starters we have? Like, what's the best way? And for 70 minutes, it worked out okay.
So actually, this leads me to my next question is, would you rather view this game as a glass half full or half empty? And the reason why I'm saying this is because, like you said, and even the Apple announcer said this as well, like, our team looked pretty good and LA looked pretty disjunct. Like, they just weren't doing very well. So you could make the argument that we played extremely well, but at the same time, we missed a lot of opportunities and we gave up 2 goals. We still lost. I mean, at some point, how can you be optimistic about losing? But what would you pick? Would you rather look at this half full or half empty?
I'm still going half empty. We're not a good team. We are a 15th in the West team. And we made a comment like, what if the goal earlier in the game, Durkin, wasn't overturned? It's 1. I don't know if I want to see a pissed off, really motivated LAFC team. I have a feeling this team came in because we are as poor as we are, and they took their foot off the gas. Like, maybe they didn't come in with the intensity they should have. And that's what led to us sticking around this game. We have zero threat. And I think they probably approached it that way, and they made their adjustments in the second half, and we just weren't able to. So no, it's still half full. This is still a bad team. I do not give our team credit for not having I would still consider 2-0 a blowout, but like, we still didn't score. So no, I don't think this is a glass half full. What about you?
Steve, I can't remember. I don't remember if it was during the podcast or if it was after the podcast during the week. I had said that I feel like if we lost either 3-1 or 2-0, in some ways that would have been a success, because this is literally the best team in the league right now.
Yeah.
I
know you were saying that before the match. You thought if we lose 2-0 is a success, but I mean, would you say that the way that we lost 2-0 was a success? We did nothing and then gave up a brace after the 70th minute of the match.
The question was, is this, would I rather view this as half full or half empty, right? I'm going to say half empty. And it's not that I tend to be pretty optimistic about this team, but I'm going to echo you a little bit here, is that if this is what we accept, where losing 2-0 is something we're optimistic about, that's pretty pathetic, honestly. Let's just be honest here. That's pretty pathetic.
Yeah.
Like,
if we start looking at 2-0 losses as a positive, we are done for the season. We're done.
So I'm going to get a little geeky here. So the wifey and I are going through Big Bang Theory, and this is the first time I've watched this. For anybody who's watched this, basically the fans are kind of like Stuart right now. We're just kind of that depressed guy that accepts anything that happens to him, even if it's negative. And that's what I kind of feel like right now. And here's the other thing that scares me, Steve, is that ownership, the president, and everybody in that front office is going to look at this game as a success. Now, I think the players, I think they should, right? Because you don't want the players to get down and like think that they're nothing, right? But they're going to look at this and like, hey, we went up against the top team and we kind of held our own for 70 minutes. That's not good enough, right? But that's exactly what they're going to do.
Yep. All right. I've got a would you rather for you. So we need to score some goals.
Yeah.
We need to score goals. All right. Would you rather win the next game 10-0, but not score in the next 3 matches, or Would you rather win the next 3 matches, but all of our goals are own goals? Or we win by own goals? Yeah.
Oh, man. So if we were going up against a good team, I could maybe see this, but our next game is against New England, right? Which is like a bottom feeder. So that's not really showcasing anything. And the other thing is it's not showing consistency. The one thing I would argue is own goals are usually not a product always of the defenders doing the wrong thing. It's usually because there's offensive pressure. So I'm going to say own goals, because that means we're actually doing something. We're getting the ball into attacking third. We're putting pressure, the point where the defenders are making mistakes.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah. All right. Okay. Would you rather that the coach announces a lineup using a magic 8-ball, or the coach lets the stadium crowd vote on substitutions?
Lets the who vote on substitutions?
The crowd. The stadium crowd. So like an app vote. Vote A for this, vote B for that. Text 621 to vote for Celio or whatever. So would you rather the coach actually shakes a magic 8-ball to set the lineup, or since we're all saying he doesn't know what to do, they just blast it on the stadium screen, vote for the next substitute?
So I'm going to say, like, fans, we always think we're smarter than we are. But the one thing I will say, though, is that you and I and everybody else can tell that our team falls flat. And it's only like 10 minutes, 15 minutes later that we then make substitutions. Like, we've never had in St. Louis good time substitutions. So for those of us who've only really watched soccer since St. Louis has come to town, like, we don't understand what good substitutions are. And so I honestly, I would actually say the crowd, because especially if it's timing, like if you could say, okay, text this, and whenever there's enough votes, we actually make a substitution, I would be okay with that, because I would like to see some more halftime subs. And I know what the theory is, right? You come out of halftime, the players that played in the first half, they're kind of refreshed, so they can go out there, give, 15, 20 minutes at full power, and then you make your substitutions with fresh legs. Like, I understand that thought process, right?
Yeah.
But maybe making some player change, 10 minutes into it. Maybe you make your adjustments, see what's happening, then you reactively make some. Why are we waiting till the, 85th minute to make substitutions? I think that's when Celio came in. Somebody came in at the 85th minute. It's like, why? What's the point? Oh, I think it was Sangbin and Celio came in after we were down 2-0. What's the point?
Yep. It was
Too
already
late.
over.
Sorry, guys. I don't know. What would you do?
I think it would be more fun to do the fan vote, because we could be able to see this is really hard. We did not make the right choice. And then we would say, why would you let us make that choice? We're the fans. We don't know what we're doing. That way we can like
Fair.
Pontius Pilate the blame off of our.
Oh, dude, he just had a microphone malfunction. You okay there?
Great. Even the microphone wants to just resign.
Okay, I have one for you, because you had brought this up. Okay. He's like, I'm done. I have a would you rather for you. For this past game, would you rather have lost 2-0 and not scored any goals, or would you rather have lost 5-1 and at least seen some kind of offensive flair?
I would love to have 5-1. At least some goals. At least that goal differential. It wouldn't be great, but at least we have more than one goal. At least we can say we're a scoring team, but we cannot say that. We're a winless team without scoring.
Hey, Steve, guess what? You had calculated that we were 11% into the season so far. We have one goal and 1 point. Do you know what this means? That means that we are on track for 8.5 goals this entire season and 8.5 points for this entire season.
At least it's, symmetry is important. So at least this team
That's true.
is worrying about the symmetry. At least we're so bad that we can say we're the same. Man, that is bad. I told my teenage son that stat last night, and he was gobsmacked. Like, how can you only score 8 goals in a season? Exhibit A.
So my question for you is, here's a would you rather, okay? This is going to eat you alive. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather have DeMay or Olaf?
I would say DeMay, only because with Olaf, we were getting all of our players hurt at the same time. We were a bad team. We scored a little more, but we were just dropping like flies because the training was just so weird. So I would say DeMay over Olaf. I mean, I think at this point it seemed like it was going to end soon regardless. And I don't have that same vibe here. So I would say DeMay. What about you? That's although like
Well,
yeah, I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know.
So I'm looking back, right? So the start of last season, we started with a 0-0 draw. Then we had a 0-0 draw again against San Diego. Then we won 3-0 against LA Galaxy. We won 1-0 against Seattle Sounders. That was the first 4 games. We won 2 games and we drew 2 games.
And we have 4
Now,
goals.
that of course, 4 goals too. Now, of course, that led to the next 6 games where we had 4 straight losses, 1 goal with those, and then 2 draws with 2 goals. But still, the point is so far, technically, we are way worse than we were with Olaf. So I guess the question is which would you rather pick? Because technically, Olaf actually, if we look at goals and points only, we have a better team. Now, with DeMay, I feel like there's a higher upside, but so far we're just not seeing it yet. Unless you look at this game, and that's the reason why I was kind of building to this, is I was asking you, do you view this half full or half empty? Because if you say half full and say, hey, we showed a lot of promise, maybe we can build off of this, which is what the Apple announcers were saying, then I would definitely say DeMay. So do you still stick with DeMay in all seriousness versus Olaf?
Yeah. I don't know. It would have been interesting if they wouldn't have fired him in May. If this team could have turned it around, like if they would have given some time, but they didn't. And so I don't want to fire DeMay again. Oh my God, can you imagine another coach? No, we got to stick with DeMay because we have to make it through a season with the same coach. At least once in the next 5 years. Try to have one coach all season.
So in all seriousness, I mean, I feel like because they've chugged through so many coaches, at some point, do you just have to say, I'm going to stick with a coach and just say, I got to give him, especially when you have this, I mean, he seems like he's a smart coach. It seems like he has a higher upside than Olaf. Do you just have to just say, hey, he gets a full year, period? Like, no takebacks, no matter how bad it gets.
Unfortunately, because we have to have an identity. And right now our identity is high possession, no scoring. But we need to have some sort of an identity. And we can't have that if we keep rotating coaches like this. So unfortunately, at least if we can make it through an entire season with DeMay, we can evaluate what worked, what didn't work. Maybe it'll get better, but no, I don't think we can move on again.
And is this truly DeMay's fault, or is it just the player selection just as poor? Because we've had, 3 full-time coaches plus, Critch and what's his face after Carnell left. I'm totally blanking on his name. We've had all these coaches and they still couldn't make anything out of these players. Is it just the player selection? I mean, is this Diego? Is this sporting director? Like, what is this?
I think it's a little bit from column A, a little from column B. Maybe he's not that great of a coach, or maybe, I don't think so. I think getting rid of our star striker over personality conflicts was hopefully going to be Diego's undoing. Yeah.
Okay. You ready to go to our next game?
Let's do it.
Okay. This is one-off. So these are just one-off questions made to make you think. Steve, do you want to go first or would you like me?
No, you go first.
Okay. So I have one from here. And this was, if we take our team, like our identity of the season so far, what historical or fictional character do you think we are best represented by?
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
I think Charlie Brown. I think this team just keeps trying to be positive and keeps trying to put his best face forward, but it fails constantly. And the biggest thing, I think, in the fans, we are Charlie Brown with the football from Lucy.
I was just about to ask you about that.
Putting it out there. And we have our group of friends, or we try hard, but we are just always just the lovable loser. And that's what I think. I was trying to figure out what historical character, what, fictional character could this team represent? And the best one for me is Charlie Brown. Just, it cannot get out of its own way. What about you?
Okay. Well, Misa Oki Day, I has to pick Jar Jar Binks because I feel like that's what we kind of are like, because I feel like right now we're just kind of bumbling around. We're just kind of hoping things work. And then if we happen to score, it's going to be by accident. By the way, I introduced the wifey because she's only seen episode 4, 5, and part of Return of the Jedi. So in the past couple weeks, we went through the Phantom Menace,
Sure,
Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith, all that fun stuff, right? And man, I tortured her with Phantom Menace. That's I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but I hate the Phantom Menace. It's just not good.
Yeah.
And man, yeah, she even said the kind of same thing. She's like, why did you make me watch this? But anyways, I digress. But I think Jar Jar is kind of a great encapsulation of the team, because most of the time, if we had scored, it's just like Jar Jar. Like, he just shoots the droids because he gets the gun stuck on his foot and he's bouncing around with it. Like, that's okay. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. We could also say Wile E. Coyote. Like, it just right when we think we're going to win, something comes out and hits us on the head with an anvil or something, and it never works. It never kind of works out. Even our first year, where it looked like we were going to fly through the playoffs. Nope. The Sporting Kansas paints a railroad track on a wall. We run into it. We just couldn't do it. So those two characters for me would be our historical figure.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of something else. So when we are looking at this team, one thing that I think we should look at is the fact that we are not scoring goals. And if you look at one thing I wanted to see, what are the goal differentials for at least the teams on the West? And I'll have you know that for every team that's currently in playoff standing, they all have a positive goal differential. All the teams 10 through 15 that are currently out of playoff contention right now, all of us have a negative goal differential. So all of these teams in the West are scoring, and we're one of the only ones that aren't, and we're seeing that goal differential. I don't even know what our goal differential is right now. It's probably really bad.
It's got to be -6, I think.
Yeah, ours is -5.
-5. Awesome.
So we got to pull ourselves out of that hole in order to, again, this is a weird concept, but you have to score more goals than your opponent to win games in this league. And so far, we're not doing that part. And it's leading to us just seeing. And I wonder if we need a striker to do that. I wonder if that's what we need. Okay. So yeah, let's look at which stat to you hurt the most in this game. The fact that we had 19 shots on goal and got nothing out of it, or the fact that we had 9 corners and got nothing out of it.
So between those two?
Yeah, which one and both of them hurt, but what do you think hurts the most? Or do you have another one that may have hurt the most?
I'm going to have to say shots, because the realistic thing is out of corners, you only score 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it's 2, 3, 4% of the time, right? So that means that 1 out of every 40 corner kicks are you actually going to score, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm not all that disappointed from that. And I'm talking about direct. So that means ball gets hit into play and then you head it in, right? That's not including, the ball gets hit, it gets knocked out of the box, and then you score. It's talking about direct scoring.
Yeah.
So that I'm not as disappointed about. The 19 shots, I think Durkin had a shot that was considered on target, but was blocked at the top of the box. And I think that might have been the only one that was actually on target, if I recall. Maybe one
according
other.
to Fama, we had 4 on target. I know Celio had a kind of a rocket shot towards the end of the match that was just right to the goalie, the goalkeeper. And we had a couple others like that too, where they were just direct shots at him. I don't know if Hartel's shot, that the 54th minute that went high, if that counts as on track, which probably doesn't. But yeah, so we had Of the 18, we had 4 that were on target. So again, we're just spraying shots and hoping something sticks. So of those, which do you think had the biggest contribution to the loss?
I'm going to have to say the shots because none of them were particularly threatening. Basically, exactly what you said, right? The Hartel shot, I'm not going to blame him. I mean, it went, 5 feet above the goal, but I mean, he kept his head down. He gave it a good ride. I'm okay with that shot, right? It's not like he completely skied it. The Celio stuff, like it was just right at the goalkeeper. It happens. I get that.
Yeah.
But there was really nothing threatening at all.
All right.
So I'm going to say that.
So of those then, do you think that this looks more to be like we wasted our time or wasted those opportunities, or was it just pure unluck? Do you think that we were just unlucky or it was actually wasted? So like 18 shots total. We only had 4 shots on goal. I think we could say we wasted those opportunities. Unlucky, we had high possession, but we weren't able to get anything out of it. We were able to hold the game scoreless for the first 70 minutes of the game. And let's be honest, Berkey wasn't at his greatest. So like of those areas, so would you think it was more wasted opportunity or just luck? Or also you can add in the fact that header for Dirk and Earth in the game was overturned. So was the game essentially just we were wasted or unlucky?
I'm going to have to say wasted here because I feel like I love poker, right? And one of the things that every poker player knows is that you create your own luck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you put yourselves in good position. So the thing is yes, I understand there's some luck. So like with Hartel's shot, maybe the ball just happened to bounce up a little bit more and his foot got underneath it, which is why he skied it despite being in a perfect position to kick it, head forward and everything. So I understand there's luck like that. But the realistic fact is you had said this, right? Is that Celio and others probably had the more shots on goal because I think it was because I checked, I think around the 70th minute, and I think there was only 1 shot on goal, which was the Durkin shot, which Durkin is not the person you usually think of being the goal scorer, right? And it wasn't until the other guys came in. So that tells me that people like Celio, Cordova, Joyner, McSorley, like these guys are starting to create their own luck, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think it was
agree.
wasted.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. The fact we had we had other opportunities like that too, where I want to say there was some bad crosses that happened earlier in the game as well. That if we would have been positioned better, we could have handled that. That it's just some of that skill stuff. So I would tend to agree that this was kind of a wasted opportunity for us.
Agreed.
All right, you got any goal or no goals? This was an argument that I saw on Reddit. King of Saint Enki says, lose on 2-inch perfect shots from 20 yards. Meanwhile, Hardo couldn't hit the frame from 10. Arsenal and Pokemon says, Berkey was ass on the first goal and should have done better on the second. And another Redditor comments, try saving a ball that goes between your defender's legs. So I'll say goal or no goal. Berkey was responsible for, I think, that second goal probably. So goal or no goal, Berkey should have played better.
The one that went through, so the second one was when it went through Baumgartel's legs. And when they showed the nut cam, he was basically screened at that point, right? Like this is almost like a hockey play where the defenders actually screen them. Because if a ball's coming through a defender's legs, you can't really see where that ball is. I don't think Berkey has a chance there. I'm sorry. Okay. Like, I don't blame him. So I'm going to say no goal here. Do I think on the first goal, Berkey could have been a little bit better? I think so. He seemed like he was a little late. So I'm not giving Berkey a complete bye here, but technically your goal or no goal was on the second goal. Yeah. And I'm going to say no goal. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll say no goal on the second goal. The first goal for sure. And it shows on FOTMob. His score on FOTMob was incredibly low. So yeah, he definitely was not on his game. So what about you?
Yeah, what was your first part though? You were talking about Hartel missing.
Hartel could hit the frame from 10 yards is what the guy said.
I have to say no goal to that. Same thing here. He actually was well positioned because a lot of guys, when you see them and they sky it, their shoulders are back, their head is back, and that causes them to lift and kick the ball. He was in good position. I just think the ball just happened to bounce a little bit.
Right.
I mean,
so
come on.
You could say that was an unlucky bounce then.
I guess you could say that, yeah. Okay. I was just, let's see. Okay, so Uncle Crash on Reddit said, tough loss, but that first 45 minutes was super entertaining, and I think LA is probably feeling quite fortunate to come away with those 3 points. We went toe-to-toe with them and controlled large stretches of the match. Next week will be our first home win. So there's a few things you can make goal or no goal on this one.
Okay. That copium is very much obvious here. I would say no goal that LAFC is somehow feeling excited or happy that they got out of this game with a win. I don't think that they were. Yes, I think that we held them for the first 45 minutes, but it's like I don't know, a kindergartner in a boxing match with an adult. Like, yeah, the kindergartner can look really strong for a while the coach isn't doing their best. The player, the adult's like, okay. And yeah, the kindergarten feels great because they're not been knocked down yet and they're still staying toe to toe. But all it takes is the adult to thump them in the head once and the kindergarten falls. This is what happened to us. Yes, we helped them score this. We didn't score. But what happened as soon as the better team showed what they're the better team, they scored twice on us in like 6 minutes. And we still came out with nothing. So no, I would definitely say no goal that we somehow went toe to toe and we're the better team for the first 45. We just didn't die. Like that adult just didn't throw us into a wall. That's what it amounts to. So no, I would say no goal on that.
Yeah, I'm going to say goal to Uncle Crash's optimism. If he or she, and I assume he because it says Uncle Crash, is this optimistic about this team where we're definitely going to win, this person must have an amazing outlook on life.
Yeah.
Just seriously.
Well, I mean,
however, yeah,
I would say we're definitely going to win no, I won't say definitely, but we have a really good chance to win next week against the Revolution. We're home. They're somehow a little bit worse than we are. So I do think that we have an opportunity to win there. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I ultimately, though, I'm going to have to say no goal here. I think saying the first 45 minutes was super entertaining. Again, this is like that Stockholm syndrome where are we accepting like no goals? And I get one goal was kind of overturned, which was BS, but still like that's not the quality level of play, right? Like if super entertaining to me is like at least having the expectations of like 2 or 3 goals and a half. Like that's what we should have, not like a 0 scoring first half.
I think that the game against San Diego was more entertaining than this game was, only because like we had opportunities in that game. We actually looked tough against them, and we started the season well. This was not entertaining. This was just surviving. Again, we're the kindergartners going up against an adult, and the adult didn't murder us instantly. Yeah, that's the only thing that kept it entertaining was that Boanga didn't score 3 goals and Sun didn't score 2 goals. I think that's probably what they came up with, was that, yes, it was entertaining because we did not allow them to blow us out early. We sure as hell weren't entertaining. Let's be honest there. But maybe they're entertained because like I said, we made it seem like maybe we would get out of there with a point, which wasn't going to happen. But all right, I've got a long one, but the goal or no goal is coming up. So Formal Let 3635 says, Betcher needs to be riding the bench, period. Cordova and Joyner need to start. McSorley needs more time, period. Wallum ain't it. Too much of this formation has the ball going through him and way too many attacks die at his foot, period. Subs in the 60 to 70th minute time frame. They made them. We didn't want and got our lunch handed to us. We did and got our lunch handed to us because of the subs, period. This loss was 100% on the coach, period. So goal or no goal, this loss hangs on to May.
I'm going to have to say goal here. The thing is like Wallum is a really good player. There's no doubt about it. We've seen what he could do last year. But there's just something in this system, or the fact that because he played wing back last year too, and he seemed like he did pretty good too, There's just something with this particular system that's just not clicking for him. I'm not saying he should be on the bench, right? Like he can play other positions. The one thing is he's kind of like in baseball, how they have like the utility player? That's basically what he is. So maybe he's the guy that fills in first for anybody who's out on the team.
Yeah.
So like basically the first sub up, if you will, like the first starting player, like the 12th player, if you will. So that's the thing I would say about Vollum. The other thing is Joyner. I don't know. I need to see more time with Joyner and McSorley, except in this like junk time, because the question is are they really players that can be impactful for a full 90? That's the question I have. That's something that we have not seen with these players. I'm almost willing with the Revolution. I'm almost willing to say start them and see what happens. You know, I don't know. Maybe you need the win. Maybe you put the best players out there, and maybe Joiner's it. I don't know, but
you know what? Maybe
that's kind of my thoughts.
We start who we start, the normal starters, but we do the halftime flip where we let the youths come out and just show it. Oh, maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need to bring like we had a segment last year, the kindergarten squad. Maybe we need to let the kindergartners come out and play the second half just to see, because we probably only have this coming up games are our only win for the next 3-4 weeks. And you know, if we are at a 1-1 draw or a 0-0 draw in that second half, we gotta try something. But yeah, it's not going to be great.
You're gonna like this one. On Reddit, the real Joko said Durkin was absolutely stellar.
Totally buy that one for sure. Goal, yeah, he was. I mean, honestly, he's one of our highest rated players of the game. He had a goal that was taken away. He had amazing passes. Yeah, he was most certainly, other than Hartle, our man of the match for sure for our team. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you know, I kind of noticed that he seemed like he was doing really well. I jumped on Reddit in the mid part of the game. Everybody was talking about it. Like, it was just so obvious to everybody he was one of our better players. And he didn't even get a yellow card this game. And the thing is that somebody on Reddit, I don't have this for goal or no goal, was saying that Durkin was playing very well as a box-to-box defender. And Edelman is playing really well as just a 6, so just on the defensive side.
Yeah.
So people are arguing that if Leuven comes back, who do you replace? I think at this point you have to replace Edelman and have Durkin and Leuven out there, because between those two, they would make amazing double pivot if Durkin continues on this trajectory. Because the problem is with the double pivot is if somebody keeps back, you have to push forward. And if, you know what I mean, like you do the opposite of them. If Edelman's only staying back, you're not really pivoting. You're basically forcing Durkin into the more center field role, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I got a question for you, and I'm going to do this goal or no goal for you. This is the last one I have, but I'm going to ask you a question with it. So ex-American said,
all right,
I don't care if they even drop back to defend. Pompeo, Joyner, and McSorley need to get more time. So my question is for this is that if you do this and you have Joyner, Pompeo, and McSorley out there, who are you replacing at this point? So obviously Betcher would come off the field, Teutschert would have to come off the field, and then are you taking off Hartel for one of these guys?
No. I'm taking off Betcher for sure, and I don't want to take off Teutschert. He's coming alive. You know, he's look like he's getting his fitness back. You know, they're swapping him out at halves right now, but yeah, I'm not pulling off Hartel. He's one of our only scoring guys right now, and I'm not pulling off Teutschert. I mean, these are the two guys that we spent capital on last year. Why am I pulling these two guys off if they're performing, which they are right now? Teutschert is performing. Hartel is clearly performing. He's got our only damn goal. So Betcher's getting the boot. Possibly Wallem as well, but I'm not pulling those other two guys off the field. No, sir. The other guys can wait. If that's the opportunity, then they have to show it. But yeah, I'm not pulling those guys off. What about you?
I can't pull off Hartel. I just can't, right? Teutschert, he can have flashes of some brilliance. Betcher, definitely. So honestly, I think I would make the change. I would probably take Betcher, Hartel off. If one of them can play the right wing back, then so be it.
Yeah, if that's what it's going to take to make an impact and it works, that'd be awesome. But does it work?
Yeah, because my question for you, Steve, is that we've literally seen this, right? Teutschert had a great game last game, and guess what? We still didn't win.
Yep.
So at some point, are we disillusioned? Again, are we accepting subpar quality? Because maybe he was the best that we've seen so far, but what have we seen that was good so far?
Right. Yeah. We haven't really seen much.
Yeah. So, do you have any left here?
Nope. I am tapped out. Well, there's really not.
Okay.
A lot of the comments are the same over and over again. We get it. And we found 4 or 5 really good individual ones. And we appreciate you guys commenting out there so we can comment on your comments, on your hot takes, as the kids say.
Absolutely.
So I do think then the last thing we have to do is, get ready to say goodbye. So very sadly, calmly, go into your living room, jump on top of the dining room table, and you go, Upper City, baby! And then step back down, push the chair.